Welcome back everyone to War 6 and the halfway point, and by the end of it you will see why I'm so glad we get a day off after this one. Going with the team that you can see, at this point we are currently ranked the 6th top alliance in Masters. I don't want anyone to read into that for taking the piss, but you know, we've got ourselves into a really good position in position 3, top tier before the podium. Going with path 2 and the first and last minis today. By this point, I just wanted to add that PBT, a really well established Masters alliance, had died 3 times in I think their first 7 fights. So I start off my path with Titania v Wong. Can't remember the last time I took a Wong in War, but not much has changed. He's a 7-star. He's only SIG 20. There wasn't too much to worry about on this node. Again, as usual, got a couple of safe parries in me if I need them. I was going to otherwise just play it stun immune. Don't bait heavy, although I think I did it once. It's no big deal. The SP1's really easy to avoid and punish with a heavy or just whatever. I did take a couple of hits, got my invuln boost on, so again, nothing to worry about. I'm not really sure, wasn't sure at this point why I bothered with an invulnerability boost, but later on you'll see that I'm glad for it. The fight's going pretty smoothly. I'm just going to bait another another SP1 out from him. Going to Haymaker, heavy, he's going to double my debuffs. And we're going to finish him off, get him to the corner, and a couple more hits. He has got over a bar of power, so it does mean my next Titania fight, they'll start with a power gain and fury buff. It's not that big a deal. The first time ever recording, I decided, because normally you might have noticed I stopped recording between fights. This time I just carried on. I'm not making excuses, but I think that might have contributed towards the difficulties I had in the fight after this, which we'll get to. But for now, Warlock v Toad, really easy. It's a straightforward fight. I'm poison immune. As long as I don't take too many hits more than that, it's not going to matter, and he's not going to passive stun me. Also removing his prowess and his regen. Another hit there. His regen also isn't going to matter because I keep infections on, and just reverse that. It's going to go down nice and quick. I did forget to put tech boosts on. I knew it wasn't really much of an issue for this fight, as didn't really need it and probably would have been a waste. I guess if we're going for time, it's always necessary, but I wanted to try and conserve them a little bit more. And he's down nice and easy here. Now, moving on to Man-Thing here. I did specify at the start of the fight to officers that I wanted to Tiger it, but there was no room for it. So we went in with Warlock. Now, this is going to be a really, really long fight. I didn't play it brilliantly, but Warlock really, it's a bit of a trap for him here. I think the 2 best counters for this node are probably Warlock and Void. Void's going to get poisoned and feed MD a lot. Haven't tested it against Man-Thing. Warlock here, his 2 main sources of damage are Armor Break on the big SP2 and Bleed, both of which Man-Thing is immune to. So my plan of play here was obviously keep infection up as much as I can. It was very difficult to keep infection on him because of all the buffs that he has, and so they fall off pretty quickly. I had to do a fine balance of keep my distance, which I didn't do brilliantly, although I did it better than against my Colossus fight, first war of the season, that I omitted. But he's just regenerating so much here because the infections aren't lasting well here, and life really isn't going well for me. I'm also feeding MD, hence he's getting lots of specials. He's gaining power faster than I can keep it off of him, that's for sure. After going, I mean, you can already guess what's going to happen with this fight, but we'll let it run out anyway. My yeah, as I said, I forgot to put on tech boosts, but looking back through it, I don't think it would have mattered. By this point, I couldn't even remember if I still had an invulnerability boost active. Turns out, thankfully, I did. So that kept me alive longer. SP3 is obviously the play here. I managed to get a few of these off. But as I was saying with tech boosts, yes, I forgot to put them on, and I was thinking, if I had have remembered, played it slightly better, I'd have probably soloed, and I'm probably right, although looking into the fight, I don't think tech boosts would have made too much of an issue, too much of a difference, because I wouldn't be putting down enough damage on the specials for them to get me plenty of power back. Yeah, it was just a really tough fight. I'm managing the regen slightly better here, but it's all too... it's just not enough. The SP3 helps a little bit, but it's a really, really slow fight, and it's I'm starting to chip away, probably all too little too late actually. It's getting very stressful. I kind of knew what was going to happen. I started to think at one point I might be able to beat the timer down, but ahead of failing a parry occasionally and baiting a special, I was also having to keep away from him and couldn't keep contact up, and just look how much he's regenning again. Yeah, this is, I promise it's not going to take too much longer, this fight. I have also sped it up a little bit because it's boring and long to watch. Yeah, really frustrating. Even more frustrating because my only 2 deaths this season so far have both been timeouts on this node. Next time I'll definitely insist on using Tigra, because she would shut this fight down in 30 seconds or so. She'd keep the regen off, keep the placebos off, and he'd be done for. So yeah, I timed out. I was allowed to go back in and just finish it off. Even that wasn't completely straightforward. I know I didn't heal up to 100% here. I had mega boosts on and didn't want to waste resources, but I knew I had enough just to see this fight out as long as I was careful. Yeah, failed a parry straight away. The parries are important because they get 5 virus charges on each time. Yeah, I just couldn't parry him there for some reason. Skill issue, I guess. Again, I know the SP2 is not going to do anything, but multiple hits get the infection on, and I can finally see this bastard fight out. And there we go, very sad. Coming into section 2, we've got Mojo. I don't need to talk about it. I'm bored of even saying that because I know I've said it the last few wars. The only difference here is he's got the power gain and fury passives from the previous Wong fight. So I just didn't want to steam in like I normally do, didn't want to push him up too high, bait out the special, and the passive buffs are gone, so now it's just a regular fight. I did actually get punched in the face at one point this time, just to mix it up a bit really. It's my final fight with Titania anyway, so any damage I took, as long as it didn't kill me, wasn't going to be an issue, but it's always nice to keep clean. Silly boy there. I don't even remember rushing in and getting parried, to be honest, so that's always nice to watch back. And yeah, I've done you the courtesy of just speeding it all up. Get him down to low enough health where the SP3 I knew was going to kill him, and we can move on to the next. The next being Guardian versus Domino. I obviously had the previous war in my mind where I played it like an idiot and forgot about using light ending combos, which reduced all my charges. So this time I made sure not to, so that I can actually showcase him for what he's good for. And the fight went much smoother. Still equally as safe. I took a bit of passive shock damage, which was really no issue. But yeah, despite not critting, he hits so hard. I used a Power Start 1 boost here because I wanted to get 1 or 2 SP1s off nice and early in prep for the big SP2. In the end I didn't bother and I only stuck to 1. I'm waiting for my force field charges to get to 4, which timed nicely with my special 2. And I can fire it off and she goes down, and the shock just finishes her off there. So coming up for my final fight of the war, this is going to be the smoothest, most comfortable, stress-free fight you're ever going to witness me do. It was so much fun. I can't wait to do it again, actually. On reflection, because of burden of might, I was comfortable sticking with the Power Start 1 boost, which I had from the Guardian fight, thinking it'd get me up to an SP2, but ultimately the armour expiring from these knockdowns meant that I'm about to get power drained, and I'd never have a chance to throw a special again in the fight. I'm not entirely sure why I'll be honest, obviously the most straightforward for this fight would be Wags pre-fight and AA, but we couldn't fit him on the team. There was no real need for him anywhere else on the lanes prior otherwise, except for Wong, but that was no issue. And so we went with Warlock, which was less ideal, but I had my questions, but it wasn't too bad. I was told to obviously not parry, because he'll shrug it, just bait heavy, which is easy to punish, and reply with heavy. I'm not entirely sure why it was heavy only. I'm assuming just to keep the bleeds up, which would mean his willpower I can keep reversing with my infections, which in turn were hard to keep up because I'm only parrying and not landing combos. The fight's going really, really well. I missed a heavy there. I got parried as well. Those 2 hits I got there, which recovered some of my adrenaline, I cannot explain how important they have come to be. I'm at 1 or 2% health now, and he's at just under 40, and I am absolutely shitting my pants. Carry on hitting block. I had tried to do this earlier, but as you can see, he cornered me, and yeah, I needed to now find a balance between hitting block, baiting heavy, getting a heavy in, and trying to get a cheeky hit in just to keep him back without taking too much Thorns damage. I've managed to get myself up to 4% health. All my adrenaline has vanished. I'm managing a couple of big crit heavies, which are nice, and I'm just scared of every hit into him that I'm making now because of Thorns damage. And yeah, thankfully he's got his concussions on, which is willpower healing from, so I just need to keep infection up to reverse that and let that do its job. I'm on 1% now and no idea how the hell I'm still alive, and thank God that's over. Like, I can't even go into the next frame yet. I wanted to freeze here just to appreciate how that's gone, and if I dare give myself any praise, how I've grown as a player to be able to deal with that. So yeah, our group absolutely shat the bed today against what's a very strong ally, and that win would have been ours for the taking. But yeah, really bad war on BG3 today, but we'll pick up and move on. I otherwise really hope you enjoyed this one, and yeah, we get a day off. We're at the halfway point, and I'll see you at the next one. Thanks.